The following organizations have provided funding for this Into the Outdoors television series.
Whoa! Easy there, adrenaline fiend. Just because it looks like good, innocent fun doesn't mean we should jump right in before knowing and doing the critical things that can save your life.
It's just a stand-up paddleboard. What's the worst that could happen?
Knowing how to be safer on the water can be the difference between having a fun day and having no more fun days ever.
Ever.
Safer? Why the Why not simply just be safe?
Because you can't truly be safe on the water, but we can do things to make our actions safer.
Aw, sounds like a downer to me.
Would you rather be a downer or a drowner? Which would you rather be? Actually, you don't have to be either. Practicing water safety isn't that hard, and it can make water fun, more fun, as you're about to discover as we head into the outdoors.
Grab your gear and let's explore as we discover the wild outdoors. Science, discovery, it's what we do. You can make our earth a brighter and better place by joining us in this wide open space. Into the outdoors.
Water sports have grown so much in popularity recently, and they're a great way for kids to get outside and enjoy the outdoors.
But with any activity, it's important to have situational awareness. That means you are educated in what you're doing, you know the possible outcomes of your actions, and you are aware of what's going on around you.
That seems a little intense for this simple day out in the lake. Why do I need to know all of that just to go paddleboarding?
Think of it like this. If you wanted to go paddleboarding, but you didn't know how to steer properly or what to do if you fell off, would you have much fun?
No, probably not.
And you wouldn't be very safe either. Knowing how to properly use your gear and how to keep yourself safe will make your day on the water a lot more fun.
Okay, Zach. So, what do I need to know about SUPs before getting out on the water?
First off, have you tried SUPs? That's right, I'm talking about stand-up paddleboards, also known as SUPs or SUPs. Stand-up paddleboarders stand on boards that float across the water and use a paddle to propel themselves across the surface. Okay, back to your question. The first thing you need to know about SUPs, or any water activity for that matter, is to always make sure you're wearing your Pfd.
Oh, I actually know about that one. How about you? Do you know what a Pfd is? This is your Pfd, or your personal flotation device. It's personal because it needs to fit both your body and how you intend to use it when you're on the water. Your Pfd can save your life if you're in some kind of water accident.
That's right. SUPs are considered a vessel by the US Coast Guard. That means you need to wear a Pfd and have a whistle with you while using your SUP. Your Pfd should fit you snugly and be in working condition, meaning there are no rips, tears, or other damage that will affect its ability to keep you safe.
I get that your Pfd is important because it could literally save your life if you fall off, but why do you need a whistle?
Having a whistle on hand will allow you to alert other boaters in case they get too close. Remember, on an SUP, you're pretty much the smallest and slowest vessel out on the water. And if a boat was headed your way, it'd be a lot easier to hear a whistle than someone who's just shouting.
Zach is making a lot of good points. So, are we ready to take these SUPs out on the water?
Well, hold on. There's still 2 more things you'll need before going on your SUP.
What other gear could we possibly need? Oh, a paddle.
A paddle. And
I give up.
the second thing you'll need on your SUP is a leash. An SUP leash is a cord that attaches from your ankle to the board so that it doesn't drift away in case you fall off. And you will fall off sooner or later. An ankle leash is an absolute must if you're in a surf zone or the ocean, but it's still a great recommendation for whatever kind of water you're exploring.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
It's pretty simple. One of the great things about SUPs is that you don't need a lot of fancy gear or highly trained skills in order to enjoy the water.
Now, are we ready to get onto the water?
Almost. There's still a few things you need to know, namely 4 of them, the 4 W's: wind, water, waves, and weather. This means little to no wind, the waves are calm or non-existent, the water is warm, and the weather forecast is clear. Some other things to consider include good access for launching, lots of places to get out on shore, and minimal motorized boat traffic. Well, it looks like we've got our gear, and the water looks great.
Agreed. Let's get these SUPs out onto the lake and give it a go.
For a safe launch, bring your paddleboard into about knee-deep water so it's easier for you to get on. Pull yourself up and then sit or kneel in the center of the paddleboard. When you feel balanced and are ready to stand, put your hands down on the board. Take one foot and place it where your knee was. Repeat with the other foot and stand up. Make sure to look forward. This will help you keep your balance and let you see where you're going. And make sure to keep your back straight and use your whole body to paddle. If you're just using your arms, you'll get tired very quickly.
Are you okay, Charlie?
Here, I'll walk you through how to get back on. Grab the carry handle in the center of your board, and then pull yourself up until you can reach the other side. Let your legs float up and try to slide onto the board. Then once you're ready, get back on your knees. Hey, there you go. Nice job. Come on, let's head back in.
Ugh, that was embarrassing.
No worries, Charlie. I told you, everyone falls at some point or another. And you actually did a smart fall, which was the right thing to do.
Thanks?
It's true. You fell away from the board instead of falling on top of it. And falling away from the board is much safer.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Zach. Thanks for taking me out.
You bet, Charlie.
And thank you for teaching me about the gear I need and what I need to know to safely participate in stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah. Most of the time, kids and teenagers like us believe that accidents will never happen to us. We think that we're invincible. This can be a recipe for disaster, though, especially when kayaking, canoeing, stand-up paddleboarding, or riding on personal watercraft. If you forget to do the simple things, like wearing your PFD, or ignore the 4 Ws, you could literally be putting your life in danger.
Got it. I won't be making that mistake again. Hey, didn't you mention kayaking just now?
Yeah?
You want to go check that out?
Heck yeah, let's go. Ready for more water sport fun? Kayaks come in many different sizes and special designs based on how and where you want to use them. For example, are you paddling on a calm lake or fighting monster waves in the ocean? Are you navigating a slow stream or whitewater rapids? Do you want to sit in or sit on top? But that's not all. There are even more options, like inflatable, recreational, touring, fishing, and tandem kayaks, each having their own list of advantages and disadvantages.
That's a lot of different types of kayaks. Do you know how to choose the best and safest option for you and your day on the water? Let's see if Zach can break it down for us.
The sit-on-top kayaks have an open cockpit with a seat on the surface. Sit-ins, on the other hand, have an enclosed cockpit that you sit inside of. While both kayaks can get you where you want to go, they each have advantages and disadvantages depending on what type of kayaking adventure you're going on. If you're using a sit-on-top kayak, you should expect to get wet. Because of their open design, these kayaks are great to use in warm waters and on hot days, but aren't so great for colder weather conditions. On the other hand, sit-in kayaks have more protection from getting wet, especially if you use a spray skirt. Besides being super fashionable, this skirt keeps you warm and dry, so you can use these kayaks in all kinds of climates. So, depending on what type of weather and water conditions you plan to be kayaking in, you'll need to choose what style of kayak is right for your adventure. But it doesn't stop there. There's the typical recreational kayak, which is great for beginners because they're short, which makes them easier to control. Then there's touring kayaks, which are built for longer expeditions done by advanced paddlers. They also make inflatable kayaks, which are great for traveling since they can deflate. There's even a kayak made especially for fishing. And if you're going on an adventure with a friend, you could try using a tandem kayak, which seats 2 people. And there's so many more. I could keep going.
That's okay, I think I get the picture. I never knew there were so many unique and awesome kinds of kayaks out there.
I know, pretty exciting, huh? What kind of kayak do you think Charlie and I should use on the lake?
Since I'm a beginner, I think we should probably use the recreational kayak.
That's a good call. Let's take these recreational kayaks out on the water and give them a go.
Wait, we're definitely forgetting something.
You passed the test. Do you remember what's the most important safety procedure for any activity on the water?
Oh, duh, secure your PFD. I knew I was forgetting something easy.
Bingo! There are PFDs designed specifically for kayaking, but most importantly, it always needs to fit you properly.
And don't forget your paddle.
And make sure it's the right kind of paddle. Since a kayak sits solo in the water, it requires a special paddle that has a blade at both ends. This makes moving through the water a lot more efficient.
Speaking of efficiency, we should probably look over our gear before we go.
That's a great call, Charlie. It's always a good idea to look over your kayak for wear and tear before you head out. If your equipment is damaged, it might not work properly, and that can be really dangerous for you. You should always be sure to tell somebody about your kayaking plans before you head out, whether it's a friend or relative. Letting someone know your location and itinerary can help save your life if something were to happen.
Does this mean we're ready to get into the water now?
Yes, but be careful with this next part. Pop quiz. When are you most likely to capsize your kayak? That's right, when you're either getting in or out of your kayak. Kayaks can be pretty tippy when you get in or out of them, so it's safest to do so in shallow water instead of near a dock. Once you're in your kayak and paddling around, it's a lot less likely that you'll tip over. Hey, Charlie, wait for me.
Hold on, did you see that? Play that back. Look, none of them are wearing their PFDs. Oh boy, I'd give them a Paddling for Dummies ticket if I could. I wonder how many others I can ticket today. Help me keep an seagull eye out for them.
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Definitely. Nice work, Charlie. Oh, hey Justin, how's it going? Charlie, this is Justin. He's a professional kayak instructor, and he actually taught me. I asked him to meet up with us today and give us some pointers.
Hi Justin, nice to meet you.
Hey Charlie, nice to meet you too.
So how long have you been kayaking for?
I've been kayaking for about 25 years. Now don't let that intimidate you. Learning a few basic paddling skills and a little bit about safety, you will have enough skills to paddle for the rest of your life. A couple of skills you might want to learn right off the bat. One is a wet exit and the other is a T-rescue.
What's a wet exit?
Wet exit is when you flip over in your boat and you use proper methods to get out of your boat safely. So because I have a skirt on today, if I flipped over, I'm kind of stuck inside my boat. So there's some special skills you need to know to get out of your boat when you've got a skirt on. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna let your paddle go.
Look at this guy. He thinks he's so cool paddling without a PFD. One Paddling for Dummies ticket coming up.
Tap the bottom of your boat. Let people know that you're upside down and maybe someone could come and help you. But if not, you're gonna lean forward, find your pull strap. You're gonna pull that, move your hands to your hips, push on the boat and do a forward somersault out of your boat and you'll come right out. Hey, do you guys want to try one with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I'm going to demonstrate how to do a wet exit.
Oh geez, are you okay?
Oh, I'm okay. I've got my PFD on. We're in shallow water, so I'm doing just fine.
But what would you do to get back in the boat if you were in deeper water?
Well, what we do is a T-rescue to get back in the boat. You want to help me demonstrate one?
Sure.
Are any of these dummies wearing PFDs?
All right, we'll get you teed up right here so you're right at the top of my boat. All right, so for the T-rescue, what I need you to do is I want you to grab underneath that kayak and start pulling it up over the top of your boat. And what we're doing is we're lifting the cockpit out and getting the water out of the boat. Then you rock it back and forth. Really get the water out. And then Zach, what I need you to do is you're gonna pick up the cockpit and roll it towards the front of your boat. There you go. Just like that. Let it go ahead and fall right off. Perfect. Then what I need you to do is pull up right alongside the boat. You're gonna grab the edge of the cockpit and really lean into it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull myself up. I'm gonna kick my feet real hard. Keep holding. There you go. That's a T-rescue.
Put on a PFD!
Wow, you made it look so easy.
Well, I've definitely had some practice over the years, but with a little bit of practice too on your basic paddling skills and some safety stuff, you'll be paddling for years. You know, and one important thing to know, when you go out, you should always go out with a group.
Always kayak with a partner.
Now that you all know a few rescue and safety skills, you can get out there whenever you want. See you out on the water.
Bye, Justin. Wow, what an awesome day out in the water. I'm so glad we got to try kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding.
Yeah, me too. Well, what do you say? Should we call it a day and head back home?
Probably. I think we could both use some rest. Hey, how about we come back tomorrow and try some different watercraft?
Yeah, sounds great.
Just like our kayaks and SUPs, you should always have a PFD when using a canoe.
Of course, you should always wear a PFD whenever you're out on the water, no matter what type of craft you're on.
And you should always have a throwable flotation device, and it's a good idea to have an extra paddle too.
Oh my gosh, I think I just found my new best friends.
Do we have a float plan?
Yep. My plan is to take us on a short loop around the lake. Since it's about 10 a.m. right now, we'll come back around noon. Let me text my dad the plan.
It's always a good idea to make a float plan and share it with somebody who can make sure you're meeting your checkpoints, like Charlie's dad.
Today we're on a lake, so our float plan is pretty simple since we have the same entry and exit place.
Canoeing is also a great activity for rivers, but that also makes it more challenging. Not only do you have to be aware of currents that might take you off course, but you also need to know your surroundings and have a plan for where you want to exit the river.
Yeah, either way, the more detailed your float plan is, the better the chance of someone helping you in the case of an emergency.
Exactly. Well, my dad will be checking in on us at noon, so that means we have 2 hours to explore.
Sweet.
But before we go in the water, I want to tell you a riddle.
Huh? Why do you want to tell me a riddle right now?
When my dad and I go out in the water, he always tells me a riddle before we go out, and I have to try to solve it before we make it back to shore. So, are you up for the challenge?
Well, when you put it like that.
2 penguins are in a canoe in the middle of the desert with paddles. They are rowing when the first penguin turns to the second penguin and says, "Where's your paddle?" The second penguin responds, "Yup, sure does." Why did the second penguin respond this way? Don't worry, you have until we get back on the shore to figure it out.
I hope that's enough time.
Come on, Zach, let's go.
All right.
Since I'm the more experienced paddler, I'll sit in the back so I can steer us. I'll hold it steady so you can get in. Try to keep your feet on the center line so the boat doesn't rock as much. Like kayaking, the most difficult part of canoeing is getting in and out of the canoe when it's in the water. When moving around in a canoe, try to maintain 3 points of contact, such as both feet and a hand. Make sure to stay low, too. Nice job, Zach. Whoa, look at that!
Wow, I can't believe how many fun ways there are to enjoy the water.
That's right. There's kayaking, windsurfing, sailing, and canoeing.
And don't forget about kiteboarding, boating, and even dock fishing.
These are all great ways for anyone to go outside and enjoy the water.
And the best way to have a fun and safe time on the water is to know the safety standards for the activity you're doing.
That's right. It sounds like you're eager to learn more about canoe safety.
I'll admit, I feel pretty stable right now, but if we were to tip, I don't know what our plan of action would be.
Well, our plan of action would depend on a lot of factors. Let's say you and your partner tip the canoe. The first thing you should ask yourself is, can we swim the canoe to shore? If you can swim your canoe to a nearby shallow area and turn it upright, do that. If this option doesn't work, whether you're too far away from shore or for some other reason, move on to option 2. Option 2 is to try and flag down a nearby experienced canoeer that could help you upright your canoe. If there's no one around, move on to option 3. Option 3 is to flip the canoe with your partner in the open water. Remember, flipping and re-entering a canoe from the water is a skill that should be learned and practiced. Be honest with yourself and your partner when deciding if this is a safe course of action for your skill level. Option 4 would be to abandon the canoe and swim to shore. This might be the best plan if you are in cold waters where you could get hypothermia, if you're at risk of getting pulled out with the tide, or if the weather is getting dangerous to be out in. You can always find help in retrieving your canoe after safely making it to shore. Luckily for us, we aren't that far away from shore, so the easiest option would be to swim back to a shallow spot and flip it back over.
But if the canoe is full of water, wouldn't it sink?
Well, it's actually pretty unlikely that the canoe would sink completely. Even if it is full of water, most canoes would stay near the surface so you can pull it back to shore.
Thanks, Charlie. I feel a lot more comfortable now that I know our action plan.
Of course, Zach. It's always good to be aware of your surroundings and the possible situations you could be in. But I think our canoeing adventure is coming to an end. It's getting close to noon, and I think we should head back to shore.
All right, let's finish our loop and head back to the boat launch.
I don't need a PFD because I'm a duck.
So, did you ever figure out the answer to that riddle?
Nope, I have absolutely no idea.
How about you? Do you know the answer? I'll explain.
The two penguins are in the desert, which is mostly sand and hard rocks, and they're paddling with their paddles that are meant to be used in water. The first penguin turns to the other and says, "Where's your paddle?" As in, the hard desert ground is wearing down the paddle because they're rowing in sand. So the second penguin says, "Yep, sure does."
Oh, I don't think I ever would have gotten that.
It might just be a silly little riddle, but I actually think it's a pretty good lesson on how to be prepared and bringing the right gear for your adventure.
You're totally right. Having the right equipment with you can be the difference between a successful day on the water and an accident waiting to happen.
And I know one tool I could really use right now.
What's that?
Lunch. I think we should refuel before our next water adventure.
Yeah, you're totally right. We've been doing a lot of activities that require oars and human power. Let's go refuel our bodies and try out something new. We've tried paddleboarding, kayaking, and canoeing, but now it's time to try something a little bit more powerful.
We're talking about personal watercrafts. When we say personal watercraft, do you know what we mean? Sometimes referred to as a wave runner or jet ski, a personal watercraft, or PWC, is a fast, jet-powered craft meant for individual use on the water.
Personal watercrafts are a lot smaller and faster than boats, so they're more easy to maneuver in the water.
But just because they're easy to maneuver doesn't mean you can just hop on one and know how to use it.
That's right. The age requirements for PWCs vary from state to state, and in some places you can drive when you're 12 years old.
But no matter what your age is, you should definitely learn the basic rules of driving on the water before getting on a PWC.
Think about it. In most states, you have to be at least 16 years old to drive a car, plus have training and a license. Boating safety and certification are important for all PWC operators. Operator inexperience and inattention are the two main contributing factors to accidents on PWCs.
And since you and I followed the proper safety steps before leaving the dock, we've reduced the possibility of anything bad happening.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, are you curious at all about the safety steps we took prior to coming out on the water today? Come with us and let's do a quick recap. You always want to have your PFD on before getting on or near the water. PFDs should be fitted properly and US Coast Guard approved. You'll want to do a maintenance inspection of your craft. Is the battery charged and connected? Check your engine and controls. Does everything look and sound like it's working properly? Are there any leaks? Make sure your bilge, that's the hull of your PWC, is drained and that the plug is secure. And always be sure you have enough gas. Hey Charlie, want to make some waves?
You bet I do.
Nice run! PWCs are intended to be fast and maneuverable. There's no paddles here. It's propelled by water being thrust through the jet nozzle under the craft. That jet gives you speed and the ability to steer. You steer with the handlebars and the throttle controls your speed.
However, unlike cars, not all PWCs have brakes. You might be tempted to kill the engine so the PWC stops, but it doesn't actually work like that.
Even if you do kill the engine, the PWC is still going to continue moving forwards until it slows down naturally, and you've lost the ability to steer, so you might still hit what you were heading towards.
So the best thing to do when you're approaching someone or something in the water is to decrease your speed and safely steer away from it.
That's right. Be sure you know how these controls operate. Some states may require you to take a course before you drive a PWC. And always drive responsibly.
Yep, safety first. No jumping waves or going at unsafe speeds. And never try to throw off any of your passengers.
But what happens if you fall off your PWC? It's not like a paddleboard or a kayak. This vessel has a motor. So will it continue to drive even if you fall off?
Actually, yeah, it could. That's why you should attach your ECOS cord to your wrist or your PFD. ECOS stands for Engine Cutoff Switch. If you fall off the PWC, the cord will be yanked from the switch and it will shut down your motor.
And if your PWC flips when you fall off, don't worry. Most of these crafts are self-righting, and the stern often has directions on the proper way to turn it over. Then, it's easiest to reboard from the back of the watercraft, but it takes some strength, so you should practice in shallow water. Never board the vessel while the engine is running, and always be sure to keep loose clothing, straps, or lawn hair away from the intake pump.
We know that's a lot to remember, but once you've got them down, these safety precautions are pretty easy to follow because a lot of them are just common sense.
And just because it's a lot to remember doesn't mean you can't still have fun.
Yeah, it's hard not to have fun when you're riding one of these. Because they're small, you can get into pretty interesting places, and it kind of feels like you're flying on the water.
Absolutely. But one last thing you should always remember is to be polite.
Polite?
Yeah, jets and engines make a lot of noise, and they cause a wake. So always respect no-wake zones and be considerate of the time of day. It's also important to be aware of any other boat traffic or anything else that might be in the water, so keep a safe distance.
Safe, aware, and polite. Aye, aye, Captain.
So like all watercraft, if you know how it works and you follow some safe operating rules, risk is minimized.
And fun is maximized.
All right, Charlie, let's go explore.
Wow, being on the water is so much fun, and there's so many different ways to do it too. What's your favorite water sport? Are there any new ones you'd like to try?
You know, there are so many different water sports out there, like powerboating, for instance.
We learned a lot about safety regarding smaller watercrafts, but a bigger boat means more responsibility.
Large and small watercrafts have a lot of similar safety precautions, but they have some differences too. Like all water activities, you should always wear your PFD when you're out on the water.
Same goes for coming prepared by knowing the area, knowing where you're going, and making sure someone else also knows your float plan.
Being prepared also means having the right equipment, like a whistle attached to your PFD or an extra paddle in your canoe. And like any water activity, it's important to never operate any type of watercraft under the influence of alcohol or drugs. This can impair your judgment and make it challenging to react in the case of an accident. Sharing the open water with other boaters requires everyone to be responsible.
You can help your family and friends enjoy their time on the water by sharing your knowledge on how to be safe and prepared.
We'll see you next time we head into the outdoors.
Grab your gear and let's explore as we discover the wild outdoors. Science, discovery, it's what we do. You can make our earth a bright and better place by joining us in this wide open space into the outdoors.
The following organizations have provided funding for this Into the Outdoors television series.